I want to talk to you about alleviating anxiety with something known as the Zensight Process. Now, similar in some ways to hypnosis, as yet no hypnosis is actually used, the Zensight Process is a self-help energy work technique that emphasizes the use of visualization together with quote-unquote healing statements in order to rapidly yet gently heal your concerns. Now, I know this sounds a little new agey and it's a little out there, but just stick with me here because once you learn this technique, I think you're really going to like it a lot. Now, this first example that I'm going to give you is something very close to my heart because it revolves around hypochondria. And hypochondria is an anxiety where you're convinced that you're ill or sick or something's wrong with you, and you just can't shake this concern, anxiety, or worry about your health. Now, I'm very familiar with this, and chances are if you have social anxiety, you may have some general anxiety disorders in you, and perhaps you've had some experience with hypochondria. Whether or not you have hypochondria, this technique just generally helps with anxious concerns. So bear with me, I think you're really going to like it. So let's talk about the example of Rachel. Rachel looks in the mirror and she notices a mark on her cheek. And immediately her breath becomes shallow, her heart races, her chest tightens, and she feels nauseated. And she checks the spot more closely and sees that it's just a speck of dirt. So she washes it off and tells herself firmly that she's fine, and it was not the beginning of skin cancer, it was nothing. It's gone. She's okay. And although she keeps telling herself she's okay, hours later, Rachel still doesn't feel okay. I mean, what if seeing that spot was a sign? What if she's about to develop skin cancer? What if she already has skin cancer and she just hasn't seen it yet? Should she go to her doctor? Recurring thoughts of cancer hover in the back of her mind for the rest of the day. And weeks later, she notices she's still spending an increased amount of time inspecting her skin for unusual marks or blemishes. This scenario is very familiar to how I used to be. And maybe you can relate. You know, like an estimated 13 to 16.5% of adults, Rachel has a general anxiety disorder. And types of anxiety disorders include general anxiety disorder, panic disorder, agoraphobia, social phobia or social anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And at times, the symptoms of anxiety can be so debilitating that those affected, they won't leave their home or attend social functions, and their lives may become consumed by the effort to avoid people, places, or situations which are likely to trigger feelings of anxiety. Now, traditional treatment for anxiety, it's involved medication to help lessen the symptoms, and behavioral therapy to assist with coping and challenging irrational thoughts. And this is something I'm very familiar with. And treatment is generally expected to be long-term. Now, the process you're about to learn, the Zensight process, it offers a new hope to those with anxiety. In many cases, the practitioner, who is very skilled with both Zensight, and I'll explain what that is in a second, and working with those with anxiety, can help someone to experience dramatic improvement, and in some cases, a complete elimination of symptoms in just a few sessions, and though that's not an exaggeration. In most situations, many individuals will be able to use Zensight on their own without ever consulting a practitioner at all, to considerably improve and sometimes even eliminate their symptoms altogether. So those who do choose to work with a therapist or practitioner to help support and accelerate their healing, they'll also benefit from doing Zensight self-healing in between sessions. And, in order to obtain best results, here's how you do it. Here's how you use the Zensight process. The Zensight process involves working with the subconscious mind in a way that is similar to hypnosis, and yet no hypnosis is actually used. Instead, we begin by creating a healing symbol. Stick with me here. This symbol can be a word, a picture, a color. Some people choose to use a symbol like the ocean, okay? And then they can focus on the word ocean when that feels right, and at other times they may actually visualize the ocean. And when this healing symbol is used or focused upon with intent, it allows the fears, concerns, and blocks that someone is experiencing to gently heal and transform. Now, the healing symbol is then used together with healing statements and visualization to soften, dissolve, and release the concerns that are being experienced. So in a situation of anxiety, the individual is instructed to stop and notice any visual image that comes to mind when he or she thinks about one of their specific concerns, and then focus upon this image while connecting with the healing symbol that was chosen. And this use of visualization helps to greatly accelerate healing because it doesn't rely on the limits of our conscious mind and awareness. The visual image that comes up may be an actual representation of a specific fear or issue that is being experienced, or it may be something that is metaphorical in nature. I've had people tell me that they suddenly see a picture of themselves with their leg caught in a trap, or that they see a large gray object that they can't identify or make sense of. And the different images that come up are highly variable and are not always understood by the person. But the beauty of this is that they don't need to be understood. The image is simply focused upon while connecting with the healing symbol and is allowed to transform. So what generally happens is the image spontaneously transforms in a way that feels healing. The individual watches as the trap that was holding the leg simply dissolves and disappears. And they see themselves then being able to move about freely and with a sense of contentment and peace. The big, unexplained gray object morphs into a big egg, which opens up and releases light and a feeling of peace that the person senses themselves absorbing as he or she watches. And if the picture doesn't change, if no picture is seen, or in order to resolve any remaining upset, the individual uses healing statements. And after each statement, the person takes a deep breath and lets it go and focuses upon the healing symbol. And, the upsets are then healed and transformed as positive feelings grow and strengthen. So, examples of healing statements are like, I heal all of the fears that any parts of me have that I can't get free from at this moment. Or I heal any and all feelings that any parts of me have that I'm trapped. Or I let all the parts of me know deeply and completely that I am safe. Or all of the different parts of me now experience a growing sense of peace and comfort. Or finally, my entire body is relaxing now. And yes, these are very, very similar to affirmations, positive affirmations, but they're used differently. Oftentimes, positive affirmations are used over and over until, they almost don't have any meaning anymore, until the words, are sort of subconsciously infused into you. With this, you're using the affirmations as a focal point or a focus point to actually transform your emotion in the space that you're in. So, I know this sounds simple, and it is extremely simple, and yet powerfully and deeply effective. And best of all, the effects are lasting, providing that sort of the imbalances are addressed and healed. Results in most cases will be long-term. So what do I mean by balances? There's something called energy balancing, and basically Zensight can be used for much more than simply targeting specific symptoms. In the case of anxiety, especially experiences of pervasive fear and anxiety, it's best to begin by targeting energetic imbalances that are most likely being experienced. And I realize how incredibly new age that statement sounds. Energetic imbalances. But let me just explain. Someone who experiences frequent or pervasive feelings of fear has an imbalance in his or her perspective. The new agey term for this in Zensight is called the energy meridian. Okay, don't worry, I'm not going to make you actually say energy meridian. Let's just reference it as your perspective. Your perspective is what's imbalanced. And, acupuncture is used in Eastern medicine as one of the many modalities which focus on bringing healing to the energy meridian. Basically, acupuncture is where needles are inserted into what are called dermatomes in your body that actually change your perspective and the way your body is balanced. So, in the way of Zensight, there's something called a triple warmer meridian. And the triple warmer meridian is the meridian in the body which governs the flight or fight response. Sometimes often in a response to an original event or series of events in which you feel this intense fear or terror, this triple warmer meridian, or this perspective or energy, whatever you want to call it, becomes over-energized. And in the case of anxiety, this emphasis will be upon the flight response. And the individual will quickly respond with fear to a lot of the situations, which to many other people would be innocuous. So trying to talk someone out of their fear often has little effect. So in this example that I gave you earlier, Rachel rationally knows that the mark on her face was simply dirt and was no more an indicator of cancer than is a stain on her jeans. However, in spite of this awareness and in spite of her logical mind, which tells her she's safe and overreacting, Rachel can't let go of the fear. And the problem is, Rachel's experiencing this not just in her mind, so much as in her body and sort of through her whole energy. And often patterns of triple warmer energization, they begin in childhood in response to repeated experiences of terror. And sometimes this may be due to experiences of abuse that were either experienced or witnessed, and sometimes it may be connected with less obvious traumatic experiences that were nevertheless fear-producing for the child involved. So Rachel knows that she's safe, but her body and her energy need to know it too. In a sense, they need to be reprogrammed. And with this Zensight technique, this reprogramming can occur gently and easily during a rapid yet extremely relaxing process. And other energetic imbalances may also be involved. Homolateral energy, where the energy runs straight up and down the body rather than crossing over it, may also be involved. So once any energetic imbalances that are involved are addressed, many symptoms of anxiety will lessen immediately, and the work then becomes focused on retargeting concerns more directly. So let's talk about how to bring healing to the whole person. The emphasis which the Zensight process places upon using both visualization and verbal healing statements ensure that both hemispheres of the brain are involved during the healing process. And this assists people in linking logic with emotion. So after using Zensight, not only does Rachel logically understand that the spot on her face was not a sign of impending doom, she emotionally gets it as well. And Zensight also addresses the experience of parts of self. All of us have parts of self. In many situations where healing is not experienced, even when highly effective modalities are being used, the issue is that the person on some level, in some small part of them, may believe that it's not safe to heal the concerns. Rachel may be afraid to completely heal her anxiety because some small part of her may fear that if she stops worrying about and expecting to develop cancer, that she'll pay less attention and will miss warning signs and thus be unsafe. So Zensight allows the individual to access and bring healing through the use of visualization and targeted healing statements to even those parts of us that are afraid to heal or believe it's not in our best interest to do so. And by ensuring that the individual is treated as a whole, physically, emotionally, and mentally, and energetically, Zensight enables even concerns that are usually considered to be difficult to impossible to resolve to be as gently and quickly healed as possible. Now, I warned you at the beginning that this philosophy, it is a little out there, and you do have to keep an open mind. But, if it's easier for you to understand all of this use of the word energy as perspective, or if you're into law of attraction, maybe you're more familiar with the term vibration, then do so. Because this has been used for years and years and years and proven over and over again. And, to put it in sort of in plain English for you, I think the fact that it addresses your logical approach to anxiety and also addresses it on a level that's hard to explain. It sort of turns your anxiety into a metaphorical, sort of like a metaphorical problem that's being solved. Again, it's sort of hard to explain how that works until you're actually forming this this image in your head when the anxiety occurs and transforming that image into something else. Once you start doing that over and over again, it's not so much that you're picturing, in this example, the ocean. It's just that you're picturing this symbol that can't necessarily be transcribed into language. When you see this symbol change into something that's more peaceful, or that explains how you're escaping this anxious emotion, it brings about an inner calm. And, the Zensight process is something that is worth trying out. I was very cynical of it when I first learned about it, but after using it over and over again, I really do see the benefit. And I've spoken with so many people who rely on this strategy solely as their way of diffusing anxiety. So if you like this and you want to learn about more techniques, more about Zensight, or just different ways to approach social anxiety or general anxiety, I highly recommend you visit my site at socialanxietyfix.com right now, where I host a free video series showing you how to overcome social anxiety and general anxiety disorder using very simple step-by-step techniques that will really get you comfortable in your own skin finally. So I will see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.